Luffy has finally met an enemy who doesn't just defeat people, he steals their life itself. And if Oda is repeating one of the oldest myths in history, then Chapter 1189 isn't showing Luffy's defeat. It's secretly setting up his greatest awakening yet. Because what happened in One Piece Chapter 1189 isn't just another fight. This chapter changes everything we thought we knew about Imu, Shanks, the world government, and even Joy Boy himself. And trust me, by the end of this chapter, Oda leaves us with one of the craziest cliffhangers in the entire Final Saga. So let's break down every hidden detail. The chapter begins with a hilarious yet surprisingly symbolic cover page. We see Nami scolding Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, who are all transformed into monkeys. At first glance, it's just classic Oda humor. But many fans notice something interesting. The image resembles the famous three wise monkeys. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Now, Oda hasn't confirmed this symbolism, so treat it as a fun interpretation rather than fact. But considering how much he loves hiding meanings inside seemingly innocent cover pages, it's definitely worth keeping in the back of your mind. Because after this light-hearted beginning, the chapter immediately throws us into absolute despair. Luffy is in terrible condition, not tired, not exhausted. He is literally bleeding, screaming in pain, and barely conscious after taking Imu's attack. And then, Imu calmly walks toward him, lifts him into the air, and drives a sword straight through him, pinning him against a massive tree. The image instantly reminds fans of one thing: the first time Kaido completely crushed Luffy. But this feels different, much worse. Because Kaido defeated Luffy with overwhelming strength, Imu is defeating him with something far more terrifying. Power beyond our current understanding. Elsewhere on Elbaf, Usopp suddenly freezes. He feels something is terribly wrong. Without even seeing the battle, he instinctively looks toward Luffy's location. Nami notices his expression and immediately becomes worried. She tries convincing herself that Luffy will be okay. But Jinbe says something incredibly important. He reminds everyone that Imu has already defeated someone as powerful as Loki. This isn't an opponent they can underestimate. Then we see Loki himself, covered in blood, barely breathing, trying to speak, but unable to, even before saying a word. His expression tells us everything. Something catastrophic is happening, and Jinbe notices something terrifying. Luffy's haki is fading, not becoming unstable, actually becoming weaker, which raises a frightening possibility. Is Imu's weapon doing far more than physical damage meanwhile? Brook and Frankie are still dealing with Gunko after she emerges from the frozen ice. Brook naturally wants to help her, but others immediately become suspicious. Could she still be under someone's control? Is she actually an ally, or another hidden threat waiting for the perfect moment? Classic Oda. Even during chaos, he keeps planting seeds for future mysteries. Back near Loki, things become even more interesting. Garp's ship literally crashes into the battlefield in one of Oda's signature comedic entrances. Even in the middle of tragedy, he somehow finds room for comedy. Chopper instantly jumps into guard point to protect everyone. Hadrudin examines Loki's injuries and realizes just how serious the situation has become. Then he remembers an earlier conversation with Elder Jarrell. Saving the children was never enough. If Elbaf truly wants peace, they must take back their country. But how can anyone liberate Elbaf? While the strongest being in the world stands at its center, back to the battlefield. Imu reveals another horrifying ability. A second sword emerges directly from the flames surrounding him, and according to Imu, this isn't an ordinary weapon. It steals life itself. Think about that for a second. Not stamina, not haki, not physical strength. Life, if that's true. Then Oda may have just introduced one of the deadliest abilities we've ever seen in One Piece. And suddenly, everything changes. Because Luffy isn't simply losing a fight, his very existence is being drained away. Then comes one of the coldest moments in the chapter. Imu begins mocking Luffy. Not just him, his entire family. He insults the monkey family. He ridicules Dragon. He mocks the revolutionary army. He even belittles Luffy's brothers. Normally, anyone who insults Ace or Sabo immediately gets punched. That's simply who Luffy is. But this time, Luffy says absolutely nothing. Not because he doesn't care, but because he physically cannot respond. That silence speaks louder than any dialogue. For perhaps the first time since the Final Saga began, Luffy looks completely helpless. And then, Oda drops another mystery. Loki quietly whispers, "The time has come." That's it. One sentence. But longtime One Piece readers know exactly how dangerous those words are. Whenever Oda writes something like this, he's preparing something massive. A hidden power, an ancient promise, a long-awaited prophecy, or perhaps the beginning of Ragnarok itself. Whatever it is, Loki knows something we don't. Then comes one of the biggest reveals of the chapter, a flashback featuring Shanks, Scopper Gaban, Jarul, and Loki. Shanks tells Loki to abandon revenge, not because revenge is wrong, but because something much bigger is coming, a war unlike anything the world has ever seen. And then, Shanks says the words nobody expected. He speaks about the king of the world, meaning Shanks knows. He knows someone sits above the Gorosei. He knows someone controls everything from the shadows. Just let that sink in. This completely changes how we look at every meeting Shanks has ever had with the world government. Was he negotiating, investigating, preparing, or buying time? Oda gives us answers, while creating 10 new questions. Then Shanks says something even more shocking. If defeating the king of the world were possible, someone would have already done it. That single sentence carries unbelievable weight. Because who failed before Luffy? Joy Boy Roger rocks. Generations of legends. None of them could change the world. Which means, Luffy isn't simply trying to become Pirate King anymore. He's attempting something nobody in history has ever achieved. Back in the present, Hadruden finally makes his decision. He offers to help Loki avenge King Harold. This is huge character growth. The same Hadruden who once focused solely on protecting others is now ready to fight for justice. Even Jinbei looks stunned after hearing about the mysterious king of the world. If someone exists above the Gorosei, then everything the world believes is a lie. Meanwhile, the battle reaches another level. Imu summons an enormous divine axe from the surrounding flames. Its sheer size is enough to dwarf Luffy. At the same time, Zoro continues battling Summers, while Sanji clashes with Killingham. Both are fighting at full power, but there's a problem. The Holy Knights now possess legendary weapons blessed with terrifying abilities. For the first time, even Zoro and Sanji seem slightly overwhelmed. The Final Saga keeps raising the stakes. Then, everything goes silent. Luffy cannot move. Imu raises the giant axe. One strike, and it's over. The future Pirate King dies. No miracle, no Gear 5th, no last-second escape. The axe begins falling closer. Two massive axes suddenly stop Imu's attack, standing between death and the future Pirate King is a man fans have waited decades to see. Scopper Gaban, Roger's left hand, one of the greatest legends of the Roger Pirates. His entrance is absolutely perfect. No speech, no flashy introduction, just one incredible moment that instantly changes the battlefield. Oda knew exactly where to end the chapter, and he absolutely nailed it. Now let's talk about something many fans missed, the mythology. Imu's weapons appear heavily inspired by ancient legends from around the world. The life-draining sword resembles mythical weapons said to weaken anyone they strike. Other weapons used by the Holy Knights reference Norse legends, Christian relics, Japanese folklore, and even Chinese mythology. This isn't random. We're in Elbaf, the land inspired by Norse mythology. Oda is blending real-world myths with One Piece lore exactly as he has done for years. And that's where the biggest theory begins. Look carefully at the tree where Luffy is pinned. Many fans believe it could actually be Yggdrasil, the legendary world tree. In Norse mythology, Odin hung himself upon Yggdrasil, enduring unbearable pain to gain ultimate wisdom. Now compare that to Luffy. He's also pinned to an enormous tree, hovering between life and death. Coincidence? Maybe. But this is Oda. Coincidences rarely stay coincidences. What if this isn't Luffy's defeat, but the beginning of his greatest revelation? What if this is how he finally connects with Joy Boy? What if the voice of all things evolves? What if the truth of the Void Century is revealed? Or what if this is the moment Gear 5th evolves into something we've never imagined? Whatever happens next, one thing is certain. Chapter 1189 isn't just another chapter. It's laying the foundation for one of the biggest moments in the history of One Piece. The Final Saga has officially entered another level. And if Oda keeps delivering chapters like this, we're witnessing history unfold 1 week at a time. So tell me in the comments, what do you think Loki meant when he said, "The time has come"? And do you think Gaban is actually strong enough to stand against Imu? Or is this only the beginning of an even bigger disaster? If you enjoyed this breakdown and don't want to miss everything Oda hides inside these chapters, hit that like button, subscribe to Talks with Otaku, and join us as we uncover every secret of the Final Saga. Until the next chapter, I'll see you in the next one.